Hello everyone, this is Scramble from Emotionless Crypto Trading. Today we're going to do a technical analysis for the market caps. We're going to work with the altcoin market cap, entire total market cap, and Ethereum market cap. We're going to find out some details and the new website we can work on it and see basically what is the current situation of the market caps and what are the important points we would have to consider for future important movements. Right, so nothing special around the coin market cap area, $10 billion volume, 54.1 BTC dominance, considering the last little correction we had, which of course decreased the altcoin market more than the BTC market. Currently right now, the BTC market cap is close to 6 times bigger than Ethereum's market cap. This is just $10 billion away from the position of 6 times bigger, right? So that is a huge detail when it comes to the first and the biggest cryptocurrency by the market cap than the second one. There's a difference of close to 6x from this market cap perspective. But what about the price, which is of course a lot less? If we have to make a calculation, we're going to be able to divide Bitcoin's price into Ethereum's price, 32.2x. Now of course there is a difference in a circulation supply as well, 102 million for the Ethereum compared to 17.3 million BTC tokens as a circulating supply. Great, so let's just move over. This is a website basically we're going to discuss today. It's called coinsignals.trade, and this is the place you will be able to do altcoin market cap paired up with the market cap basically from coin market cap details, right? So every single information and data we're having is going to be from coinmarketcap.com. And right now what we're doing is we're considering to look at the entire altcoin market cap evolution. So this is the way it looks, and this is what we would have to consider from this perspective. Right here it is the value based on, of course, billions, tens of billions, or hundreds of billions of dollars. We can see that the peak for the altcoin market cap was around $555 billion, and that is the highest point we have reached at that time. For example, to the current price point, it is a difference of 5.96x, so very close to 6 times less difference from the current altcoin market cap up to the all-time high position we had in the past basically, right? So that is one thing to consider. On the other side, you should not be worried about cryptocurrencies which are more than 6 times decreased from their all-time high position, which is the majority average, is more than 6 times. And it's pretty much the detail as today. If you look at the cryptocurrencies that are activated on coinmarketcap.com, it's 2081 cryptos added right here. Compared to the last month, or compared to the all-time high position, at that time we were having around 1,500. So there's a difference of close to 600 cryptocurrencies added more into the calculations of total market cap, altcoin market caps, and so on. Basically, there is a huge difference into that as well, which comes with funds and money, right? And then it's pretty much calculated to the billions of dollars that we have. So in reality, if we would have only 1,500 altcoins on the market as well, like we had back then in the all-time high position when we were 555 billion right here on the top. In reality, if today we would have only the same cryptocurrencies calculated, we were around $50 billion, which is definitely around 10-11x difference in the price of the altcoin market cap basically from the all-time high position, right? So more than 500 cryptocurrencies were added into the altcoin market cap. That's why the difference is not that insane as it's, if you compare NEO from the all-time high position to the current price, you'll see it's bigger than 6x. If you compare Ethereum, it's bigger, Litecoin, it's bigger, Ripple, all these guys are bigger than 6x basically, and the response is just because we have close to 600 new cryptocurrencies added over coinmarketcap.com, right? So that's one thing to know about. Let's have a look right here on some technical details. I've made it pretty much understandable and simple for everyone out there. This is nothing advanced at all, right? So we have a should I say long term, which is based on a few years uptrending support line for our structure. Basically, this is what we have as of right now, and that is the green line, which starts from here, right? So it's the green line basically that goes just like that. That is our support line for the structure that we're trading on, and it's finding basically support everywhere. Now the big question is, what is going to happen at this point for the altcoin market? What is going to happen? Are we going to crash below that? If we're going to crash below that, then you guys are going to see some activity at the next support level for the altcoin market cap, which is $54 billion, right? So keep in touch, keep in your calculations. Right now it's $93 billion for the altcoin market cap. If it falls below this support, we have high chances for the next month to be down into $54 billion area, which is almost half of what is right now, which is too much in my opinion, and that would kill a lot of the altcoins. To bring them down to half of the price they're right now, I consider it a very, very powerful movement on the altcoin market, and of course against the market, which needs to be triggered by extreme forces, and that is the only way it could happen. Because right now these days there's not many people selling, for example, alts at the prices they are, right? So there's not many people doing that, and you're not gonna find tens of billions of dollars volume of people selling Ethereum, Ripple, Bitcoin Cash, all these big guys right here, which are covering the majority of the volume. I don't think realistically are going to find that many people selling for billions at this price. Compare that, a lot of the people did not even sold when we were having way higher prices than today, right? So it makes no sense. Now of course there is a sort of a majority of people trading online that are not doing it based on the sense. They're buying high, selling low, and that kind of is the only argument here why they would sell at a Ethereum price at $100. Can we get a $10 billion volume with an Ethereum price at $100 as a negative volume? Can we actually get that? Can we get 10 billion when Ethereum is $80 on a negative volume? Attention, not positive, not people buying it up, but people selling it, right? So can we actually get that? It is very, very unlikely, but there's still a percentage for that thing to happen. As I've already explained you in my other videos, there is a percentage for whatever you might imagine that it could happen, right? So whatever, there is a chance for that as well. Great, so we've got a $54 billion support area for the altcoin market cap, and then if it falls below that, there is another hit basically right here, $33 billion, which is 3 times less than the current price of the altcoin market cap, which means at least 3 times less for the alts if that is the outcome. But once again, that is going to be in a need of a very, very aggressive, during a few months of time, sell-off power, which I don't realistically see it at this moment. It could be formatting some data and language later on in that direction. If it goes that way, it could be creating data in order to predict that. But right now, the percentage for such a movement to find us between 50 billion and 30 billion for the altcoin market in the next months is 0.1%. Is very unlikely for that to happen. On the other side, we do have, like I said, this nice green line, which is our structure support line of the trend that we're having, and we're about to touch that once again. So what we care about is to see how the altcoin market is going to react. On the other side, if we're able to react positively, we do have a resistance appearing at $134 billion, which is here for the altcoin market. That is a realistic resistance, because in the past it did acted as heavy support, which transforms currently into heavy resistance. If we break above that, things are going to get very smooth, and we're going to touch probably the $200 billion altcoin market cap. And if we're able to break above that, then the limit is the 300 billion, basically, considering the resistance we had over here. You can see that actually how from 135, which reacted that way, it also reacted 2 times again over here. It did reacted basically when we break out of it, and then a lot of the selling pressure was pushed on us, which is the truth. And that's why you see this very, very long candlesticks pulling the market down from 135 billion to 85 billion dollars for the altcoin market cap. Right, so back to the 135 billion right here for the B letter that we had, the V letter pattern basically, which has the second wing, the right wing, finishing its point at a lower level than the first wing, which is this one, is clearly telling us basically that we have a V letter balanced down the way, which looks like this. It is balanced down the way. And then for some 30-minute or 1-hour day trading, we used to call this the crocodile teeth, which is a bearish signal, right? So that is what we had over here basically, and that is what actually it happened. On the other side, we have the $300 billion psychological barrier. That's where it reacted very clearly, and from there we were pushed down. But where? Until here, where it finds support and it has the ability to establish higher lows, which is an important detail for us, because we might have a little chance for a bull run if this is going to be established. On the other side, these days, in the last days, there were people discussing about a pattern here, which I wanted to discuss with you as well. We have the reversed head and shoulder, right? So we know the head and shoulder looks something like this, right? That's basically the detail of how head and shoulder looks. On the other side, we do have the reversed one basically, which starts just like that. It goes like this basically. This is the head, this is the other shoulder, and then we were here. So people are expecting that we're going to continue with the right wing and establish the reversed head and shoulder for the altcoin market cap. That's something we were needing to have a close eye on the market, and this is a detail and also a proof that we might have a pattern established correctly up to a percentage of 80, right? So 80% of the pattern has been created successfully. It has been following its definition, right? While on the other side, we do have the next 20% left, which should complete the pattern, which would mean the bullish side of the pattern. right? Because that is basically the right wing here, which is the bullish side of the pattern, that needs to complete and make a final decision on the pattern, which did not happen. So you see, out of a pattern, we might have 80% completed of it. But if there is 20% left, which is in the opposite direction than the dominant energy of the space, it's gonna be hard for it to be completed, and it's gonna fail most of the times. So that's what happened basically with that thing I just showed with you right here, reversed head and shoulder. That's what it is in that case, right? So that's pretty much all about the altcoin market cap video. 1 day candlestick for the altcoin market. This is the current stage of the altcoin space. We're going towards the total market cap, right? So here we're including Bitcoin as well. In the altcoin market, Bitcoin is not included, as we already know. Total market cap has its highest position around $835 billion, right? So we do remember we had 555 for the altcoin. Totally we have 835, which is clearly telling us the altcoin market was way bigger than the BTC market at the time we were going parabolically. And that is pretty much clear. Now let's have a look at what is happening over here, and if we're able to establish enough support from the current situation, because once again we're touching an important price point here. We're touching the support line of the trend that is sitting at the baseline of the structure. So we have to see support from here and retouch the $216 billion value of the total market cap if we want to retest the resistance line of the triangle, which is pretty much right here. Either way, a breakout needs to happen in some sort of a direction, so we have to wait after that. In my opinion, right now, whether we do scalping, we do day trading, we do something based on short term as a maximum, that is the maximum I'm assuming right now we should do if we're into active trading. Because we gotta wait out to see what is gonna be the breakout of this triangle. If we're breaking out of $225 billion, $220 billion total market cap resistance line, that's where it's sitting, and then it finds support above that, right? So we need a couple of days in a row bullish. We need to increase our market cap basically, as total is speaking, a few days in a row. We don't need a day with 20% increase and then 3 days with 10% decrease in a row, because that is going to end up in a minus for the total movement, right? Which is clear for us, right? So we definitely need that support right there. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble for the total market cap, and then we're going to fall once again. So we don't know how powerful is going to be that fall, and that is our problem, as long as we're not going to see the horizontal support, which we're going to talk about in the next videos, right? So if we're able to break above the line, which is the other scenario, we're going to have the ability to go back to a very, very high total market cap, which is sitting between $320 billion up to $370 billion, right? Which would be awesome. I mean, from $200 billion today, right, 203 up to 320, 330, 50, 60, 70 potentially speaking, that is awesome, because that would mean a lot of the alts to skyrocket, some of them 2x, 3x. You will see that not all these 2081 cryptocurrencies will increase in the same way, and we already know that. There are some altcoins which are no longer in the ability to follow that movement and the direction of the market, right? So they are no longer included in this circle, and that is very true. Being on the right side of the river is going to permit taking advantage if an explosion is happening, to take advantage, especially if you're using leverage trading. Imagine that the market is going 100% up for an altcoin like Ethereum, which should not be a big deal to see a $40 billion market if we're breaking above the resistance line of the current situation, right? So that should not be a big deal. 100% increase on the Ethereum price would bring it up to $400 per Ethereum. With 5x, that is 500% increase if you go margin trading, leverage 5x. We're just making an example here of how powerful can you be with this leverage trading and how powerful it could react on the market. Great, let's have a detail around the latest chart here with the Ethereum against the total market cap. So what we do here is we're looking at the Ethereum's market cap value, which is based on $20 billion, right? So that is what we're considering. And we have a clear pattern here that I did wanted to share with you, which is basically the current support line of the trend that finds itself in a similar triangle than the altcoin market. So the big question, the big deal is, are we going to get out of this in a positive way? And we're going to find way higher highs than the previous weeks in the Ethereum's market cap, or if we break below this, we might see another few billions of dollars lost in the Ethereum's market cap. On the other side, we did add an example in this case scenario where the market tried, and that's why I'm telling you right now, you see the market is trying to find stability, right? Because it did support it a few times right there, and it did want it to do it continuously. So you see the market tries to find support. Today we're in a different scenario because the volume has changed quite dramatically. Look at the volatility we had there and look at the volatility you have today. It's clear that this structure is extremely high, while this structure is very low basically. So the difference is from the starting point, 18 billion, up to the highest point of the structure, 25 billion. That is just $7 billion, while here 336 billion up to 82 billion, which is more than double, way more than double, right? So that is a very high volatility structure that we had back then, which was across a few months, but we did have the support that was kind of keeping the structure, and at some point it did fail to contribute on continuing the growth, right? So that was the case scenario. That's why I'm telling you, these days it is crucial to see what is going to be the outcome of the current triangle we're into, even for the altcoin market, BTC market, Ethereum market, right? So all these guys are right there ready to share with us some technical analysis, especially if we're ready to listen and receive the information. Great. That's kind of all about today's video presentation. Feel free to hit that subscribe button, and after you do that, you got the bell button next to it. In order not to miss any of my notifications and postings, YouTube is going to let you know about it, and it will send you a message, right? So that's the way marketing works here on YouTube. It's good for us as well, because you know, I'm finding sort of a feedback in people's reactions, and I pretty much have the ability to see if the content I'm creating is good enough, or I should pretty much put in more efforts. However, we're trying to put as much as possible based on the time we're having and conditions that we can work with, right? So on the other side, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching program for cryptocurrency trading from A to Z, including the leverage margin trading with the Bitcoin and altcoins, feel free to check the first link in the description area, which gives you the chance to apply for one-on-one coaching with me. That's pretty much all about today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this is helping you with some of the details. Keep in touch and keep in mind that this type of analysis is not going to work on tradingview.com website. It is only going to work on coinsignals.trade basically, because this is where you can check the altcoin market and the market caps details in a way by the way we're seeing it, right? So tradingview.com is not showing us this. Great. Thank you so much for watching, and I talk to you soon.